Court Reporter with Stovall and Associates.
Welcome to Court Reporter with Stovall and Associates. I'm your host, Mike Kuklinski. Tonight we have a very special guest, Congressman Stephen Horsford. He's a representative for Nevada's 4th District. Thank you so much for being on tonight.
Thanks for having us. It's good to be here in Pahrump.
Yeah, it's great. It's great that you came by. Taking over this 4th District, newly created from the 2010 census, there's a lot of diversity and geographic area that you need to cover. Kind of tell us a little bit about your, I know it's new to you, but your limited experience today trying to service such a large area as a congressman.
Well, I'm very honored and privileged to serve as Nevada's newest congressman and part of the federal delegation. Congressional District 4 covers 7 counties. We have half of Lyons, the southern part of Lyon County, Mineral, Esmeralda, Nye, Lincoln, White Pine, and then the northern part of Clark County. It's 52,000 square miles. It's actually about the size of the state of Alabama. And it is diverse geographically as well as ethnically. The issues range from, agriculture in one part of the district to mining in another part. We have all of the military bases from Nellis to Creech, to the test range, to Hawthorne Army Depot that are in Congressional District 4, as well as Area 51 and Yucca Mountain. So a lot of different issues facing Congressional District 4, and I'm very honored to serve such a diverse district of issues. But what I found traveling the district, talking to people, is everybody is really concerned about the same thing, and that's creating jobs, getting people back to work, and growing our economy. The way you do that is different in each part of those communities, and so I work with the local leaders and businesses to try to do the best that we can to focus on that #1 priority of creating jobs.
One of the things that you brought up was mining. And mining obviously has been a hot button issue for some time due to a specialized tax rate that they're paying. Do you find that your constituents, say in Clark County, which really do not thrive on mining in a specifically, and then the rurals where you see it's a very large industry, have you run into an area where you're kind of having a hard time serving both masters?
No, because I believe my job is to represent every corner of this district. And mining is an important industry to the whole state of Nevada. Right. It's particularly important to rural communities like Ely and White Pine, but it does contribute to our state. Now, I'm no longer a state senator. I served in that role for 8 years, and when I was there, I did what I could to, make sure that we had a fair process of taxation and that we closed corporate tax loopholes on industries like mining. But now my job as a congressman is to represent all issues and all interests, including mining. We also have a number of other issues around, grazing rights, around issues around wild horses, around public lands, because about 90% of Congressional District 4 are public lands that are managed by the BLM, and that has been, a major issue, particularly with a lot of our rural communities who are dealing with how do they get development when they have to work with agencies like BLM and Forest Service and Wildlife. So that's why my committee assignment on natural resources is so critical to the rural parts of my district because of the public lands issue, but why it's also important to the urban part because we deal with things like water and environmental issues as well.
Okay. What are you hearing from when you go out and talk with the voting public in your district? What are you hearing specifically from them saying today, you say economic development or jobs. Is there anything in particular that you've seen that's different from, say, the Clark County constituency, let's call it metropolitan, versus the rurals? I mean, do they specifically bring up issues within their own towns?
Yes.
And give me an example of what you've seen.
Well, like for example, here in Pahrump, they're working to try to get the airport here established so that They can bring in new types of industry as really a bedroom community. But they need those basic infrastructure so that they're not relying on or dependent upon or, burdened by the other part of the metropolitan area in Clark County, for example. When I'm out in Mesquite, they're talking to me about the tourism, which is a big part of their economy, and how they can attract more tourists to that region. And so that's why we're trying to work on a conservation project, but from a tourist aspect, so that we're bringing more people to Mesquite. When I'm in Yerington, I've introduced and sponsored a bill for Lyon County that would transfer land from the BLM to the city of Yerington for a new copper mine with a wilderness component, so that we can protect a historic part of the Wavoka area there. And that, for example, is a project that will help create 800 jobs directly and another 1,200 jobs indirectly for an area of the state that has the highest unemployment. So that's what I try to do, is figure out a way to balance economic development, job creation with the interest of conservation and wilderness.
You mentioned Pahrump as a bedroom community, and I know that being that there's a large retirement contingent here, they want to very much keep it a bedroom community, though. What do you see as far as opportunities for Pahrump to garner more business from Clark County? Have you had any of these issues that have been brought up to you by people both in Clark and Pahrump?
Well, I meet with the town board leaders here in Pahrump. Earlier today, I was talking to some of the leaders. And, look, my job is not to figure out what businesses they want. That's the job of the local leaders. But once they identify those needs, it's what can we do at the federal level to support that project? Is there land that we can help provide? Is there funding through economic development? Does the business qualify for small business administration loans? Those are the things that we would do to come in and work with the local community. We were meeting with a group of veterans earlier, and some of them talked to me about the Veterans Business Initiative, which is an entrepreneurial program for veterans. That's something that we're directly involved with, because there are veteran requirements for federal contracts that we want to make sure veteran businesses owners here in Pahrump and other places throughout the district know about.
We're going to go to our first commercial break. We'll be right back with Congressman Horsford.
Court reporter with Stovall and Associates.